Hello, today we'll be presenting our Project 2 oral briefing. I am Brooke and I'm joined by Jod, Abraham, and Andrew. During this presentation, we will first be identifying the problem biomedical engineering students face and our proposed idea. We will review each team member's credentials and responsibilities. We will go over the flowchart of our proposal, which illustrates the pathway our proposal will have to go through to get approved. Next, we will go through a timeline of our project, including our assignment deadlines. We will then go over a plan of work for the project. We will go over the 2 surveys the group made to be sent to the BME students and recruiters. Then we will talk about our plan for analyzing the data we received from our surveys. Lastly, we will conclude by discussing the main points covered. As BME students, we have a difficult time finding internships and jobs after graduation compared to other engineering disciplines. So our proposal idea is how Biomedical Engineering Society, or BMES, can make biomedical engineering students as competitive as other engineering disciplines to recruiters in the field. Our team is qualified to talk about this topic for many reasons. One is that Jod is a current BME student in his junior year. He noticed how large of an issue BME students are having finding jobs. Seeing other BME students around him talking about how they've been rejected from various companies raised his awareness on the issue. His role as vice president in BMES can help our proposal by persuading the decision makers and convince them of the severity of the issue. Additionally, within his role as a research coordinator at Henry Ford Hospital, he has learned and worked on numerous professional papers and proposals, which has allowed him to develop the skills needed to write up a similar proposal. Abraham is the vice president of Tau Beta Pi, which is an engineering honor society. He comes in contact with lots of faculty and engineering students of various different levels. As a previous representative of BMES, he also has an understanding of how the organization is run and has a good idea of the various problems BME students are facing throughout the semester. Andrew currently holds the title of Junior Class Representative for BMES and is the voice of graduating class 2021. This puts him in a position where he directly hears the concerns of students in the program. He also has experience working in a graduate research lab as a lab assistant, where he has gathered experience working in a professional environment. I am also a third-year BME student that is a part of the BMES organization. As a research student at Henry Ford Bone and Joint Center, I do extensive data analysis and assist in writing grants, abstracts, and research papers that enabled me to have the skills to be successful in writing this proposal.
As a team leader, my first role was to create a group chat where we could all communicate with one another and set up a weekly time to meet to work on assignments. Next, after each assignment is created, I look over the rubric and what needs to be included, and based on that, delegate tasks based on what each group member is experienced at and based on what they would like to work on. After the tasks are split, 2 days before our next meeting, I contact each group member to ensure that progress has been made on the assignment and to see if any group members have any questions or concerns. At the following meeting, we all give feedback on what we have done and look for ways that we can improve our work. Finally, after all the information is compiled into one document or presentation using Google's features, I review the entire assignment once more and turn it in. Based on our proposal topic, my team members and I will be gathering primary research using surveys from students and recruiters in addition to secondary research. We will use a combination of both and analyze data obtained based on the information we find most relevant to our proposal and create charts which may help us design meaningful statistics which can assist us in our proposal. Based on the data we gather, we will come up with solutions that seem feasible to BMES. After we finish evaluating all factors and write up the final proposal, we will be sending the proposal to the BMES organization. The decision makers of the proposal would be the current president of BMES, Noor Saleh, and the faculty advisor of BMES, Professor Brian Mundo, who ensure that everything in the organization runs smoothly and that the organization is being as efficient and as effective as it can be. After both decision makers read the proposal and discuss the content, they can accept our proposal or ask us to modify or compromise some factors or solutions that we considered, but ultimately still leading to changes or a solution that can benefit BME students. In order to ensure that all our assignments are turned in on time, we decided to create a timeline of when all our assignments are due by, and gave ourselves 2 to 3 days prior to the deadline due date to turn in the assignments in case we face any unexpected technical issues. For the sake of this presentation, we put a simplified version of our timeline. However, we have a more detailed timeline which we use, which outlines each person's role in each of the upcoming assignments and when each of the group's members' task is due by, in order to ensure that enough time is allocated based on what each group member's task is. So looking at the timeline provided, the first major group project is this oral briefing, which is due on the 28th, which we hope to have completed by the 27th and turned in. For the following assignments, project 3 through 6, such as the need assessment, progress report, and the final proposal and presentation, we hope to do the same thing by turning in all the assignments a few days before to ensure that we have all the assignments turned in on time.
There are 4 different steps we aim to complete in order to come up with our final solution. First, we look at biomedical engineering students' experience with searching for and applying for jobs or internships within the field of BME. We'll also be looking at their experience with job and internship searching outside of the field of biomedical engineering. We'll try and compare the two and see just how many students look for opportunities outside of the field of biomedical engineering. We will then look at recruiters' experience with BME applicants. We will collect their thoughts on BME applicants and whether they feel they possess the necessary skills to do the job that is required of them. The first 2 steps are collected using a survey that was created on Qualtrics. This is provided to us through Wayne State. And then after collecting our data, we will conduct data analysis on the survey results in order to have a better understanding of the data we collected. Qualtrics, the program that we use to create the surveys, is really helpful looking at different trends and correlations within the data. And so that will be the program we use for the majority of our data analysis. And then using all the information that we collected and analyzed, we will come up with multiple proposals that we see have potential. We will introduce these proposals to the president of BMES, who will discuss this with faculty and make any necessary edits. And then we will further discuss those edits with them and try and come up with a final proposal. In terms of opportunities for students, we want to try and understand the level of difficulty that BME students have in finding opportunities that allow them to use the skills they learned throughout their classes. In order to get this better understanding, we want to try and quantify this difficulty by analyzing the results of the survey. The survey was sent to our advisor, Namrata Murthy, who distributed this to all the undergraduate BME students via email. We also want to use the data collected from students to show just to what extent these finding opportunities is a problem for them and show why this is a problem that is very large within the field of biomedical engineering. The first 2 questions of our survey look at background information of the student. The first question looks at graduation date, and this is helpful for finding out just how far along biomedical engineering the students are and what skills they have already obtained. This could be a reason they had difficulty finding internships, especially for students within their first or second year. Concentration can also have a similar effect to whether or not they can obtain internships. There are 3 concentrations: biomechanics, bioinstrumentation, and biomaterials. We want to see if a certain concentration does give student a better chance, or lack thereof, of obtaining an internship within BME. The next 5 questions look at students' job searching experience. We'll look at the number of internships they applied to, the percentage of those that were BME related, and difficulty of finding opportunities within BME. Then, using this information, it's going to be helpful in allowing our team to help sort of quantify the difficulty the students have when finding a job within BME. Also help us to see to what extent students have been searching for jobs within BME, and to what extent students have been searching for jobs outside of BME due to lack of opportunities within.
We're also interested in feedback from recruiters and human resource representatives from industry companies that students would be interested in applying to. This feedback might come in the form of different skills and experiences that the recruiters and representatives will value in their applicants. Using this information, we'll be able to better equip our BME students to be more competitive in their internship and co-op searches, as opposed to their competitors, being other students from disciplines such as mechanical, chemical, and electrical engineering, for examples. By gathering this data from these recruiters, we can better understand the root of the issue plaguing BME students, gain an insight into what recruiters look for in their applicants, and finally devise solutions that best targets the issue and lead to better acceptance rates for BME students. If the goal of the student survey was to understand and confirm the issue. The recruiter survey is meant to better understand the issue and gain information to be used towards developing our solution. For question 1, we asked if the recruiter answering the survey had extended any employment offers to BME students in the past year. Question 2 pertained to those who answered yes to question 1, being roughly what percentage of total job offers across all disciplines that recruiter was able to extend from their company to BME students. Question 3 was for those who did not offer any employment to BME students in the past year, and that was mainly inquiring why, what reasons that we would be able to gain from. These first 3 questions were mainly asked to gather more BME statistics, while question 4 was the most important. That's because here we asked what one skill the recruiter would believe would make any BME student more competitive compared to other applicants. This was important because this was where we'll pull our potential solutions for our proposal from. Because if we can understand what the recruiters are looking for, we can better prepare our students for success. So when analyzing the data we got from the student and from the recruiter surveys, we'll look for correlations between internships obtained and graduation dates, numbers of internships applied for, and the concentration of the student. Graduation date is significant for rooting out any outliers that could skew our data due to student responses not being in the optimal window for gaining work experience. For example, if a student who maybe is in their first year of university applied for an internship that they were clearly not meant to be, that an internship that wasn't meant to be applied for by that demographic, they would end up answering on their survey that they did not receive employment, which would end up skewing the information that we're looking for. We also needed to know the number of internships the student applied for to begin to develop an estimated ratio for employment attempts to employment achieved. The concentration of the student is one of the most significant pieces of information we can get from the student, because we can use this in tandem with the feedback gathered from the recruiters to better target specific qualities in students. The last part of the data analysis that we will look into is the students' thought and feedback on their experience with the job search.
So lastly, the goal of our presentation was to bring attention to the issue BME students face in finding jobs. Sometimes BME students fear facing unemployment after graduation, which deters them away from BME, and they go into other engineering disciplines such as mechanical and electrical engineering, which are the more common ones where people easily find jobs. We wanted to quantify our issues by creating a survey targeted towards BME students, where we asked several questions regarding their job searching experiences. Also, we created a survey collecting information from recruiters on their experiences with BME applicants and what additional skills they should obtain in order to be considered more competitive than other engineering disciplines. Based on the information, we are going to process the data, come up with potential solutions, write up the proposal, and submit it to BMES for further review. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our presentation, and feel free to email us with any questions you may have. Have a good one.